Welcome to Illuminating Catholics, podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese. Together with Carmen Bauer of the Faith Formation Office, we will shed light upon topics of faith in the modern church. Our guests include Catholic clergy, religious sisters, and other experts in their fields to help us understand what's happening in the church today. We will explore issues, even the tough ones, and to find answers to common questions about Catholicism. Thank you for joining us for today's Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Welcome back to the Illuminating Catholics podcast. I'm Dawn Prosser. I'm the Director of Communications for the Diocese of Sioux City.
And I'm Carmen Bauer, the Director of Faith Formation.
Thank you for joining us for yet another episode, and we really thank you for following our podcast. You probably may or may not know that on the 800th anniversary of the death of St. Francis of Assisi, Pope Leo XIV declared a jubilee year for St. Francis from January 10th, 2026 to January 10th, 2027. So we've just started this. As part of this observance, Bishop John Keehner has selected 2 diocesan jubilee sites for pilgrimage. We have St. Francis of Assisi Church in Rockwell City, part of the Our Lady of the Plains Parish, and we have Our Lady of Grace Chapel at Briar Cliff University in Sioux City. So it's an opportune time to invite our friends from Briar Cliff to come across town and talk to us about our Franciscan University, Franciscan values that have created the university and their pilgrim site. So we're just really excited to have Dr. Matthew Draud, president of the university, and Dr. Michael Horka, campus minister at Briar Cliff. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Dr. Draud, for coming back.
Oh, thanks for inviting me back. It's great to be here.
We're so excited to welcome you here today. So before we jump into the topics, it'd be great to do just some short introductions for our listeners to learn a little bit about you. And Dr. Draud, it's been a while since you were here last. Unfortunately, we need to find more excuses to have you come down. But can you share with us how long you've been with the university and maybe some highlights of your time here so far?
Yeah, sure. I came to Briar Cliff in July of 24. So, it's been about 20 months, I guess. Who's counting? But about 20 months. And I came here having served as the provost at McMurray University for 4 years. Prior to that, I was the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at another Catholic institution in Adrian, Michigan called Siena Heights University. And my career goes well beyond that, but that's kind of my time frame having been here. The last 20 months or so serving as president has been by far the best experience of my life. Briar Cliff's an amazing place, so very, very happy to be here.
Well, we're excited that you're here, and if you had to pick one highlight of your time so far, could you even narrow it down?
I can, actually. I think it turns out to be 3 highlights rather than just one, but going to Dubuque and visiting with the Sisters of St. Francis and meeting that community that are the foundresses of Briar Cliff by far, outshadows everything or outshines everything. It's those are the most meaningful conversations I've had, and it's the thing that keeps getting me up every morning and saying this is worth every minute I put into it. So yeah, by far that's it.
Oh, that's amazing that you had the opportunity and you made that priority to go.
I get to see him again sometime in April. I think I'm going out there on the 10th to meet with him again, and every time it's just amazing and opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Now, Michael, you are a relative newcomer to the university and to Sioux City, and we're so glad that you're here. Can you share when you arrived and maybe some of your first impressions of Briar Cliff?
Yeah, I arrived in October of 2025, and from day to day, I can't tell if I feel like a newbie or if I've been here forever. So I started when the academic year had already begun, and so far I've found the faculty and the staff and the students to be both incredibly welcoming, but also hungry, hungry to deepen our Catholic identity. And the response has been very heartening so far.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
That's good to know that there's that hunger there. So hopefully the year of St. Francis can assist you in your task.
A powerful intercessor.
Yes. We did see that the university is coming up on its 100th anniversary. I don't know which one of you gets the joy here of sharing some of the history and the founding. of the university.
Well, let me do it. I have not been as deep a student of the history of Briar Cliff as I probably should have been, but knew before I actually arrived. As I was interviewing for the position, I noticed that the university was founded in 1930. So when I was on my first interview, I talked to him about the fact that it's a great organizing principle to talk about, fundraising around the idea of a centennial. And I thought it was interesting that there wasn't a lot of conversation around the centennial, but the energy is beginning to build around that. So understanding we're coming up on 100 years is an amazing deal. But the first building, Heelan, was, I think construction began on that in 1929, and the first class began in 1930. If we were to go through all the decades, we'd be here for a long, long time. But, the university started out as an all-women's college, really started out with 2-year degrees primarily. I think the first graduating class was 1932, so 2 years after it began. I think 11 students graduated in the 1932 class of that year. 1940, we added teacher education, so just a decade later, and I think that's something that Briar Cliff is really known for, is producing outstanding teachers, and we have been doing that nearly from the very beginning of the inception of the university. If I look at other major events, the advisory board began in 1958, a lay advisory board. Which was, I think, kind of an advanced idea at that time to bring voices from outside the sisters into the formation of the university. In 1959, we had the Mueller Library and also Our Lady of Grace Chapel were dedicated that year. So the chapel was brought onto campus in 1959. The Board of Trustees began to add lay persons in 1967. So, that's the year I was born, actually. So I think kind of an interesting connection there. Now everybody knows how old I am.
Me too. We're twins.
Okay, there you go. Very good. Women's basketball, kind of a big deal for us right now. We've been doing very, very well in that regard. Women's basketball brought on in 1969, so I thought some of the listeners might like to hear that.
Yeah.
We expanded our board of trustees to 19 members at the very end of the 1970s, so that's kind of interesting, and that's about where it is right now. We're about 19 members on our board of trustees. We started baseball in 1979. Hey, we won the GPAC championship last night, so our last year I had to say that. Anyway, it's been an incredible 96 years of operations at the institution, and we're really excited about getting up here to our 100th year.
So you're going to give me those notes after this interview. So when we do your 100th,
I've got them all. They're extensive. Sister Mary Jane curates this list, and
all right.
Every new employee comes into an orientation where we sit with Sister Mary Jane, and she talks through. She gives us a PowerPoint presentation, and you see all the old pictures where the steps went from wooden steps to cement steps, and so on. It's really cool, and it's a neat thing to hear her talk about it.
Great. I'm inviting myself to that next.
For sure.
She does.
I'll make sure she invites you.
That sounds great. It'll be fun when we do your 100th coming up.
Awesome.
So today, though, we're going to talk about your Franciscan roots and how you operate on Franciscan values. If one of you could share with us what those values are and why it's important in the formation of your students.
So I think anyone who's visited Briar Cliff knows pretty quickly what our values are. They're all over the place. But for listeners, the sisters we've inherited from the sisters these values: building a caring community, peacemaking, reverencing creation, and connection with joyful service. And anybody that knows St. Francis knows those accord very well with his ministry. Regarding a caring community and building one, I was thinking back to my own formation as a Franciscan in the past, and the phrase that Francis gave has always stuck with me. And the Lord gave me brothers. And sometimes we say that sincerely, and sometimes we say that sarcastically. But it takes a community of faith to walk together. And that's what we have been building over these 96 years, and we continue to build today. But I think the Franciscan tradition also poses useful challenges to young people today, considering how to make peace in a violent world, how to value God's creation in what Pope Francis and Leo have described as a throwaway culture, and putting others before ourselves through service in what is often a me-first society. I couldn't be happier that we've inherited these values from the sisters, and we continue to live them out today.
Yay, sisters. Speaking of Franciscan sisters, so we know Sister Mary Jane, who is wonderful.
Yes.
And she runs St. Joseph Church here in town. Just want you to know.
I know she tells me all about how she opens the door and gets it all prepared for Sunday. Yeah.
She's great, and she just makes you feel good when you're there. So what other Franciscan sisters, they were such a driving force, as you mentioned, Dr. Draud, behind Briar Cliff and the values that they've left to the university. How are they still involved?
Oh, they are still involved in a big way. So just as an example, we have 3 of the sisters that serve on our board of trustees, and a 4th that's an associate. So there is out of the about 18 members of our board right now, 4 of them are Sisters of St. Francis or their direct associate.
Right. So
they've got a very, very important voice at the trustee level and organization and management, not management necessarily, but oversight of the university and its mission. The other thing that I would emphasize is the financial support that the sisters have dedicated to the university, and it is extraordinarily generous. And the reason that we're standing strong today is essentially because of the sisters and their generosity. They still teach at the institution. Sister Sarah Colas is in our theology department and is an active member of our campus from the faculty standpoint. We still have Sister Mary Day, who does a wonderful job in our music. She's an emeritus faculty member who comes back and does an adjunct contract with us every year to be involved with our singers, our Cliff singers. Love Sister Mary Day. She brings a great energy to the university, and of course, as you mentioned, Sister Mary Jane in the library. So there's still an active position for them as well. We also have a number of sisters that come back to campus for lectures and things like that. They'll do guest lectures and other reasons. Sometimes our mission events and so on. So yeah, they're extremely involved.
And that's wonderful to know for anyone considering where they might want to go for higher education or for your child, just to know that presence is still there.
It is. Absolutely. It's palpable. Yeah. And as I say, I'm going to go visit with them again in April. And the whole point of that visit, I'll go there and give what we call the State of the Cliff. And, there will be 40 to 50 sisters in the room. There'll be another 20 or 30 of them that are watching it on closed circuit TV from their rooms, maybe because they're incapable of maybe making the trip down to the room, or it's just easier for them to hear from that standpoint. But the engagement is insane. Sister Kathy will likely ask, if you've been either gone to school at Briar Cliff, graduated from Briar Cliff, taught at Briar Cliff, had some intimate connection to Briar Cliff, please raise your hand. And of the 40 or 50 that'll be sitting there, a good 90% will raise their hand. They've all had some close connection, either in recruiting students to it or attending there themselves. And so their interest in Briar Cliff's success is deep, and it's they're fascinating congregation of women. They're extraordinarily bright and ask really good questions. I tell you, it feels like, when I go there, I got to be ready because they ask good questions, not just kind of, softball kind of questions. So I'm always excited to go meet with them.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, same.
So it's always so nice to, revisit the past and hear more about the history of Briar Cliff and kind of revisit, the sisters and what they've brought to the campus and obviously with their founding and more. But can you bring us kind of to the present? What are some of the exciting things going on right now? Maybe share a little bit about your enrollment, the building improvements, the opportunities online.
Yeah. Well, enrollment right now is a struggle for every university, every private university across the country, pretty much. Some have different models and maybe they don't have the same struggles, but it's difficult. I will say that for Briar Cliff, we've had an exceptional year. So our enrollment revenue has increased by a very large number. So about $1.4 million additional revenue on our undergraduate stream as compared to last year. that is very meaningful. And when a university is in a recovery mode and trying to get back on its feet, and having that increase in revenue was really, really important to us. And, as we look into next year, the recruitment funnel looks amazing. And I think that's just the energy is improving on campus to the point where when students come to visit it, they want to be a part of it. And so, when we look year over year in terms of the total number of students committed to coming here in the next academic year, we're way up, like 60% over last year in some areas like applications and things like that. So it looks really good, not just from the tuition revenue standpoint, but also from the enrollment volume standpoint. We're really excited the direction we're going. So from an enrollment standpoint, really good. We've also started some new partnerships, which I think are really important. We've started an engineering program at Briar Cliff. It's in partnership with the University of North Dakota. We've already have about a dozen students committed to the program, and a few more coming in, not a few more, but a fairly good number of them coming next August. So that program is growing really rapidly. It's a neat program. The university, the student gets a 4-year bachelor's degree from Briar Cliff in either math or science, and then they simultaneously are getting a 4-year engineering degree from an APET accredited engineering program at the University of North Dakota. So that's a neat thing. I'm really proud of that, and that's something I imagine to see grow over time. We've also signed an agreement or are now partnering with a group called Tell Education. And what they do is they've created some extremely high-quality undergraduate courses, essentially what you would consider general education, like freshman, sophomore level classes. Those classes then can be offered to high school students, and they take them through either dual credit or early college credit. We partner with Heelan, for example, in this way. We partner with Galen, and now there's about 9 or 10 small Catholic high schools across the country that are beginning to partner with us to offer college credit through Briar Cliff, which is a little bit of a revenue generator for us, for sure, but I don't think that's the principal value of it. The principal value to me is that it gives us a branding opportunity. It's an opportunity to talk about Briar Cliff with a group of students that probably wouldn't know us. And we talk about it through the Catholic lens of the Catholic intellectual tradition and just what Briar Cliff offers through the Franciscan charisms. So I think those are some of the main things that are going on right now, that I would want to bring to light.
Sounds like there's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening. Yeah.
And it's great being up here. There's so many people in our diocese, obviously, who are alums as well as hopefully our listeners. So I think that'd be exciting for everyone to hear.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. So now kind of returning to those Franciscan values, thank you, Michael, for kind of making those come alive for us. So, just in little ways as you were going through theirs, I found that to be very fascinating to hear. And it sounds like you're developing a lecture series to go along with these values. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, my sense is, I don't think it's a news flash to anyone that sort of regardless where we are ideologically, that everyone feels the challenge of living in this contemporary age. And my sense is that our students and that the wider community desire opportunities to process these complicated issues through a Catholic and a Franciscan lens. So this semester, the first event in the lecture series was about understanding the contemporary immigration crisis. I was fortunate to have some background as faculty teaching about things like immigration history, so I could bring that to the table. And then we had a certain Deacon Mark Prosser who was able to join us, who works with Catholic Charities on the Welcome Program. And that was able to give the community more of a concrete sense on the ground of how is the church interfacing with immigrants and supporting them. Now, next week, since it's Lent, we're returning to a more fundamental topic of conversion. And one of our sisters of St. Francis is coming to visit, Sister Janet May. And we're going to discuss conversion and use St. Francis's life as sort of a model, because conversion is at the source of all of our Franciscan values. And then as the semester goes on, we continue in this vein of dealing with challenging issues in this sort of pastoral and Franciscan way. So we'll talk about the environment and creation. And it's something I'm looking forward to. It should be on the calendar fairly soon, so we'll make sure to share it with everyone here in the diocese.
Well, that was my question. So if people want more information, where's the best place to go to keep up with that?
Our event calendar is kept quite up to date. Michael.horka@briarcliff.edu. And, of course, we'll be sharing the information with the diocese as well.
Wonderful. What a valuable opportunity.
And we'll put a link in the show notes to your event calendar.
Perfect.
Yeah, Deacon Prosser and Michael did an outstanding job that evening, and Catholic Charities also. It was a really incredible evening. I think there must have been, there were a lot of people.
It was a
I'm not going to guess how many people were there, but it was a large number of people, and it was a really good energy, and I thought it was very insightful comments. So, I appreciate that evening.
Norma Garza Ramirez, who's works with the Welcome Program and does case management, and then the immigration attorney, Revathi von Sipersam, were the other two speakers. And I'm biased, obviously, but it was a great program. And Michael, your history of immigration, you really need to take that on the road. The information that he shared, had no idea, and it just related so much to what's going on today.
Yeah, so I learned a lot that night. My wife and I went home and talked about it, and it just gave us a whole new perspective. So I do agree. We should take that on. You should take that on the road.
Yeah. I'll book some gigs for you.
The other thing I want to make sure you talk about is the fact that we've got morning prayer going on campus now 4 days a week, and that the public is welcome to come up and join us. So we want to make sure we talk about that a little bit as well. I probably should have.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, that's a good enough segue to, I think a lot of folks in the Diocese of Sioux City might be aware that this is a jubilee year of St. Francis, the 800th anniversary of his death. And so we want folks to come as pilgrims to the Chapel of Our Lady of Grace. It's open sort of normal business hours, like an 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., of course. But then, as Dr. Draud said, please, if you have a morning free, come join us at morning prayer, Monday through Thursday at 8:30, each week while courses are in session. Public is welcome to join us. And then on Sundays, we have Eucharistic adoration beginning at 5:45 p.m. We have confessions available at 6 and the liturgy at 7 p.m. So please, folks who are listening, take advantage of these opportunities, because during the Jubilee year, we have a shrine set up for St. Francis. So it has like an icon, a relic of St. Francis, a kneeler, candles that pilgrims can light, and then booklets with information, of course, on the life and the prayers of St. Francis. But also, Pope Leo has very generously granted a plenary indulgence to pilgrims who come to visit one of our 2 sites in the diocese, and of course beyond our diocese, but in our diocese. So please, we're excited to welcome all of you to the chapel.
Now, that's such a great opportunity for families and individuals, but would you also welcome groups? So, for example, if a class wanted to take a field trip for the year of Jubilee, or a faith formation class, anybody like that?
Absolutely, and in fact, I believe it's March 31st, which is a Tuesday. It's that Tuesday at the beginning of Holy Week. Father Randy Sean, thank you, and Holy Cross are coming that evening and having a Mass. So, again, public is welcome to join that evening as well.
Oh, wonderful. I will have to distribute that information out as
I'm
well.
jotting that down also.
This is wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
And we do have a picture that we'll post of the shrine that you've created, and with the icon is very, very beautiful. Just to remind people, it's a good opportunity to head over to Briar Cliff, especially if you don't live very far away, or if you're an alum and you need to come back and visit. What a wonderful excuse to come back.
Or if you're coming back for something else, maybe make sure to stop by.
Yep,
the chapel as well.
Exactly. So thank you for opening that invitation up to the public. And then we do have a webpage, scdiocese.org/St. Francis, no period, that's got all your hours on there and so forth. So directing people to that. So hopefully that's helpful.
That. Yeah.
You bet. So again, this is all about the Jubilee year of St. Francis, and we're so excited that we have 2 beautiful pilgrimage sites. One's a little bit more west, one's a little bit more east in Rockwell City. But today we're able to learn a little bit more about our Franciscan University and how that relates back to the Franciscan values and St. Francis, Briar Cliff University right here in Sioux City. And then invitation for you to visit that chapel site, Our Lady of Grace, receive indulgences perhaps. So we're very grateful to Dr. Matthew Draud and Dr. Michael Horka, who we are supposed to call Michael, for coming and sharing the story with us, not just your past, but also what's going on today and a very bright future. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for listening to today's Illuminating Catholics, learning more about Briar Cliff during this Franciscan Jubilee year. And just remember that new episodes drop each Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts, the Diocese of Sioux City YouTube channel, or even at lumenmedia.org. Thank you for listening to this episode of Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Follow us for more episodes on topics of the Catholic faith. For more diocesan news, visit lumenmedia.org.